So today is a special day, a day where we want to focus on our young children, because they are important, amen? Gone are the days where they are seen but not heard, or rather they are seen and they are valued. Because our children, depending on how we train them, teach them, and educate them, will determine how they act when they are older. And so today we just want to focus a little bit on the title of our message today is Our Children, God's Heritage. And the scripture reading is taken from Psalms chapter 127 verses 3 to 5. And as you can see on the screen it reads, Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from Him. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born to one's youth. Blessed is a man whose quiver is full of them. Amen. And they shall not be put to shame when they contend with their opponent in the court. Basically, all of this, it may seem a bit confusing, it may be a lot of words in there, a lot of Hebrew analogies, but all it's basically saying are, children are important to God. They are His heritage to us. They are gifts that are given to us, something that is precious, that we have been given a great responsibility to look after them, to nurture them, and to ensure that they have the best possible chance of surviving this world as possible. It's a great responsibility that is given to us. You see, times have changed, and I'm sure a lot of us can actually appreciate this. Back in the 1960s, a lot of the major concerns regarding our young people was mainly centered around alcohol, tobacco, and getting into fistfights. But as the times have progressed, we can see that what faces our young people today are a lot more than just that. You know, we've got drug use, heavy drug use, cocaine, crack cocaine. We've got the STIs, sexually transmitted infections, rival gang members, the real threat of danger, stabbings, shootings, and general increase in violence. On top of that, you have other pressures, social pressures. You've got social media, which can increase or harm a child's self-esteem. Some children, because they get bullied on social media, end up taking their lives. The pressures that are faced with our young people today are vastly more than they were 20, 30 years ago. And because of that, we have to take notice. We have to be able to be equipped and well prepared in training our young people to deal with the circumstances and the pressures that we face today. You see, we have to be able to do more than provide just basic nurturing, good education, and strong moral ethics. You see, my wife, she works for children's services in the council, and they focus a lot on child protection and neglect. And a lot of it focuses just the basics, making sure that they provide them somewhere to sleep, food to eat, and that their general place of cleanliness is actually clean. But in terms of the social well-being, we need to be able to provide more than that. They need to be able to survive this world. And it is survival for some of our young people. It's survival in the sense that there is increased violent activity. Going out to school is not as safe as it used to be. I remember when I went to school, the constant gang rivalry that used to be there was a danger to the children. Constantly you'd have this gang from this school coming down and they would bring knives and pool balls and socks and sometimes even guns and big fights would break out. arrests would be made, police would be called, and this is becoming the norm. If you speak to, especially in our inner city children, this is, when we speak about this is normal. This is nothing new to them. This is everyday life. We've got to be able to navigate the minefield of how do we place the importance of delaying sexual activity for our young children and other general stresses in life. You know, there are many things that we take for granted that affect our young people, especially when we're talking younger as in children's age, young children. Moving house is a big thing. I remember I lived for most of my life in North London, Enfield. I had my whole friendship circle and network was there. And due to financial situations, my parents said, you know what, we have to move and we're going further out of London now. We're going to Harlow. And that, for me, in my mid-teens, was a massive change. Because I've now been taken away from everything that makes me feel safe. My friendship circles, how the people that I know, the schools that I go to. And I'm going now into a different environment. And for my parents, this is a necessary move, and it's hard for them. But sometimes we don't realize that that's 10 times more the impact the younger you get. Changing schools, changing jobs, changing church, marital conflicts, divorce, poor parenting, all of these things that are common in our sphere of our daily lives has such an impact on our children. In fact, that the statistics and research show antisocial and delinquent behavior largely results or starts from our family environments. This is the beginning place. So it's important for us to know how we can navigate these sorts of issues for our young people in order to give them the best possible chance of succeeding as they grow older. As parents, we have a massive responsibility for our children. God has placed these children in our care as our heritage. And we have to be good stewards as parents towards them. So what I want to focus on is how we can identify different types of parenting and see what effect they have on children, how it can help us, help our relationships with our children. And here we have largely 4 different types. You have the dismissing parent, you've got the disapproving parent, you've got the laissez-faire parent, and you've got the coaching parent. And we're going to just go through them quickly one by one. The dismissive parent. Nicole, young 4-year-old girl, was mad at her brother and his friend for excluding her from their play. And so a natural tendency is, as some mothers may do, her mum sat Nicole on her lap and decided to play a game with her, which made her forget about her anger. And she said she does this because it makes her feel better. It makes her divert her focus away from what she was angry with, and then she goes about her daily life. The problem is that Nicole missed an opportunity Barbara missed an opportunity to talk to Nicole about things like jealousy and exclusion. You see, there is an opportunity there for Nicole to be taught, well, what is an appropriate way or not appropriate way to deal with that? But diverting the attention dismisses the feelings, it's not dealt with head on, and so Nicole ends up growing up unable to understand, how do I deal with these things when I get older? Someone gets promoted above me when they shouldn't have in my job and work experience. There's a sense of unfairness and injustice. But because her feelings has been dismissed when she is younger, she hasn't got the capabilities to understand, how do I deal with this when I am older? Very, very simple. Important to know. So what happens if this is the type of parenting style that is being taught? Well, they learn to understand that their feelings are wrong and not valid. They learn that there is something inherently wrong with them because they feel that way. And they have difficulty regulating their emotions. It affects their self-esteem, their point of self-worth, and they're unable to handle difficult situations effectively when they are faced with it because they were never taught how to do it. The only thing they were taught to do was to dismiss it. But if you keep doing that and the pressures start building up and up and up, eventually it reaches a point where you can't dismiss it no more, and it's going to manifest itself in a way that's not appropriate. Maybe untold anger or rage or violence. This is how it can affect our children. The second approach is similar to it. It's the disapproving parent. Greg tells Charlie to save his sadness for major things like starving children in Africa. Losing a toy is not something you get upset about. Or have you heard this famous phrase? I know I did when I was growing up. You want me to give you something to cry for? What are you crying for? This is a step up from a disapproving parent. A dismissive parent. It's a disapproving parent. It actually becomes a little bit more judgmental on the child or a little bit more critical on the child. So the child may have done something wrong or is just feeling a sad bit of emotion. I know when I was growing up and I used to get punished for something, I would cry because I'm upset about it, obviously. But that phrase would come to me. You want something to cry for? Stop crying, basically. So what it does is not only dismisses the feeling, but it also places a judgment. You should not be feeling sad about it. It trivializes it. This is nothing. You want something to cry for? Or, you've lost a toy. Your balloon that you got from a party, it's popped or something along those lines. Very, very easy for us as parents to see this as, it's not a big deal, but to the child, it's a big deal. And when you place the message that it's not placing the message that this toy is not important. What it places the message on, it says, the way you're feeling is not important. And so, that too can have an effect on the children, very, very similar to dismissing. It places judgment or criticizes their emotions. Oversetting limits can lead to the child feeling that their feelings are wrong or inappropriate. This is very, very important on a very, very serious note. Because, say for example, if you feel critical about your feelings, and what you will do is you'll push them down or you'll step them aside. In this day and age, increasingly we are finding out things that are dangerous to our children. Things like pedophilia or sexual abuse, where the most important weapon for those who engage in this activity is grooming. If a child feels that they are unable to express that something is not right here, it allows the abuser the ability to continue what they're doing. You hear me on that? This is serious. Then this comes especially from a disapproving parent. If they feel that they are criticized or they feel that their feelings are not worth anything, they dismiss them, they push them to the side. Deep down they get the feelings, and things like that allow people to affect and abuse our children. And so it's important to recognize that we need to let our children know that feelings are important. And even though we may think that it's not a big matter, and it's big to them, and we've got to value that, The third one, laissez-faire parent. When another child is mean to Toby, he gets upset and starts yelling and screaming. Luann says when this happens, when he hurts, she hurts too. And so all she wants to do is just try to let him know that he is loved no matter what. Now this is good, but it probably won't help Toby learn how to repair the relationship with the other child. There is a lack of limit setting. So if you look at it now, we've got two extremes. You've got the dismissing and the approving parent, which basically represses the emotion. Then on the other side, you've got the laissez-faire parent, which just says, everything's okay. No matter what you do, you're yelling and screaming, chucking down books, lying on the floor in the middle of Tesco's, stamping and so forth, That's the other extreme. Just saying, all of this is okay. All of this is fine to happen. But again, the lack of limit setting doesn't allow the child to understand how to regulate their emotions. How to understand even though you're feeling a certain way, there are appropriate and inappropriate ways to express what you're feeling. This is where parenting becomes very, very important. So the effects on their parents is that they don't learn to regulate their emotions, and they have trouble concentrating, forming friendships, and getting along with other children. Because it's all about self. And what's understandable, remember, all of these things are very, very much grounded in wanting the best for their children. All of these parenting styles. But what happens is that you don't see that even that has negative effects on the children. Inability to form friendships. If you feel that you're getting your way all the time and that you can do whatever you want, other people are not going to like it. And if you can't understand or regulate what is appropriate and inappropriate to do, you're not going to be able to hold steady friendships. So then again, what happens when you go to work and you've got this colleague of yours? It's very, very difficult to get along with. But you at the same time are unable to maintain that relationship because from early age you've never been taught to do so. The third one is a coaching parent. This mother explains that I snapped at my 4-year-old and she responded, "Mommy, I don't like that tone of voice. It hurts my feelings when you talk like that." Now this is interesting. If I ever said that to my parents, I wouldn't even be able to finish that sentence. But here is the thing. This is actually encouraging to see from a child. Let me explain why. So, this child is being a child. She comes home from school, or he comes home and they decide they want to play aeroplanes. And so they're pretending to be an aeroplane and going wow, all across the front of the TV, in front of the parents, and they're loud. And mum or dad comes home, they're tired, they're stressed from work, and all they're hearing, and they don't want to be hearing that. And so they snap, they say, "Listen, just be quiet, child." Now obviously the child is able to pick up, well, I'm not really doing anything wrong. And the tone or the mode has really accepted and hurt me. Now the child has two options. Dismiss the feelings, bury it deep down. Remember, it doesn't go anywhere, it's still there. So just ignore it, do what your parents say. Or they lash out, start screaming, chucking things about. Or, the third option, they engage in an adult conversation, letting the parent know how they feel. so that the parent is able to respond in an appropriate manner. Now here's the word that I use, adult conversation. They were able to tell the parents, listen, this is how I feel. When you speak to me in that tone, it really hurts me. Why is this important? Again, and I bring up the most extreme case, simply because I think it's important for us to notice this. If someone's trying to do harm to your children, and they are able to speak up and say, no, this is wrong, that's an important quality to give your children.
Amen.
And to be able to do it in a way that's appropriate, so they're not they're not throwing things, they're not hitting people, but they're letting you know how they feel in an appropriate manner. That's appropriate to give your children. When they go to school and someone's bullying them, again, repress their emotions, start lashing out and having a fight back, or being able to find appropriate channels where they can speak up confidently so that someone else can respond. When you go to work and you're being bullied at work, or you find that things are not going the way that you should be, repress your emotions, lash out and start sending, I don't know, rude emails or putting spike in the coffee or whatever it may be, or actually going through appropriate channels and finding ways to deal with it. Being able to do this is very, very important. Setting limits is key without invalidating their feelings. So for example, Ben gets angry a lot and he takes it out on his brother. He breaks his toys. Now that's clearly inappropriate behavior. That's not right. So this is different to the laissez-faire approach. It's not anything goes. But what the mum is able to do is she recognizes, well, I know that when he gets angry, this is how he reacts. He's getting angry for a reason. How can we then make it appropriate? So she acknowledges it, one. She talks to him about it and finds a solution. So for this mum, what she may do is when she sees that he's about to get angry, she will call him on it. She'll say, Ben, I notice that you seem a little upset right now. And then they come up with a solution. What can we do that's appropriate to release this anger, to let you blow off some steam? And then they say something like, I just feel really, really, really upset right now and I just want to hurt something. And mum could go, well, I can see, but you can't hurt your brother's toys. That just makes him upset. Is that something that's appropriate? No, what could you do instead? Well, I just need to let off some steam. Okay. How about, you've got this beanbag. You just go and just really shake the beanbag until you feel that your anger is released. Try that. See how it goes. He does it. He feels okay. If it doesn't work, you try something else. You've not invalidated his feelings. You've not made him feel bad for feeling angry, but you've also let him know quite clearly that it's not right or it's not appropriate to be breaking your brother's toys. Find a different solution. This allows them to trust their feelings, regulate their emotions, and solve problems. As a result, they have higher self-esteem, they learn to get along well with others, and they are able to handle the harsh realities of this world. So when social media, then people start trolling them, in workplaces, at school, they're able to handle these things because they've been given a key tools on how to do it. So I think my suggestion is that we need to understand what parenting style are we doing at the moment, and what can we do in order to be more effective. The coaching strategy, there are 5 steps in order to effectively be a coaching parent. One is to be aware of your child's emotions. This requires understanding your child. And if you have more than one child, understand that they operate differently. They're 2 individuals. So what may affect one child may affect a different child in a different way. And so understanding their differences is key. Secondly, recognize their emotions as an opportunity for intimacy and teaching. So it's about retraining our thinking here. So when our children are in Tesco's and they're throwing things off the shelves and so forth, instead of thinking, oh, my child is being difficult, or they're just being very hard work, see this as an opportunity for you to bond with your child. They're clearly distressed, and being able to empathize with them and find out what's going on allows you to have an opportunity to be closer with them. Not only that, but also teach them and be their guide. So you're upset because you weren't able to get that pack of Haribos? Yeah. I remember when I was younger, I can understand what you're going through, and I really wanted that football. And my parents said I couldn't have it. I was so angry. I can understand what you're going through. I wanted to scream and shout, too. But I think it's it doesn't help. But do you think it helps? Do you think it helps parents? Or the people around if you're damaging other people's property? What do you think, children? So when we're upset, how do you think we can now deal with this? What's in a more appropriate way? It allows you to have that bonding opportunity. And I can tell you firsthand that it works. My daughter's a bit young at the moment for that sort of interaction. But we have a young nephew who's 5 years old. And I find when I talk to him and he's upset about something, what he likes to do is he likes to go sit on the floor, cross his arms, and just basically. I go and sit down next to him on the floor. I'm coming down to his level and say, I can see that you're upset. Talk to me about it. And you talk to me. Not only does it build a sense of a relationship that comes in handy, and hear me, please hear me, especially when you become teenagers. That building that trust, instead of the disparity of child, that trust relationship, especially when the teens, comes in very, very handy. And it allows me the opportunity to be a teacher to him. To say, you know what, there are more appropriate ways of handling your frustrations. Because I can't tell you not to be angry. You're going to be angry at some point in your life. But what I can show you through my experience is that there are appropriate ways to handle this. So that's the second one. Third one, listen and validate the child's feelings. Even if we think that they are irrational, even if we think they are trivial, listen to it. Try and see the world from their eyes. Remember, they're children, especially when they're 3 and 4. They think they're 14 and 15, right? They think they're big people. And so they want to view the world, and as parents, we have to tame them a little bit because we know the dangers there are. So see the world from their eyes. They want to run free, and they feel like they're being restricted. And so that frustrates them. If we can see the world through their eyes, it helps us better to understand. As a point, rule number 4, to help them verbally label their emotions. What this does, it helps them to be able to self-regulate. I think I've told you this before, but I'll mention it again. It was only until recently that I ever noticed that I ever got sad about anything. Up until my late 20s, I thought I'd never been sad in my life. Now clearly that's not true. The problem was I never had the resources inside myself to identify when I was feeling sad or not. Because from a traditional West Indian families, negative feelings are things that you just brush under the carpet. And so that's something, this is something, point number 4, when you verbally label I can see that you're feeling sad. It helps them recognize when I feel this way, it's because I feel sad. If they're able to identify it, then they're able to do something about it. If they are unable to identify it, they are not able to do something about it. So it's about the training process. And number 5, set limits. So it's not about saying that anything and everything is okay. Limits are important. But the key to this is actually being their guide. Instead of being punitive with them, sit down alongside them and help them solve the problem. See it as a problem. You can't do this right now. You can't go outside and play. Okay, I can see before that you're feeling frustrated. How do we solve this? Let's work this through together. What can we do instead? Well, I can play with my colouring book. That's indoors. Can do something else. These are all things that help our children, equip them for later on in life. Why is this important? Because we don't want just to provide basic care. We want to make sure they have good self-esteem, they're spiritually well adjusted, and that they are able to navigate the problems that they will face when they get on later in life. And so I want us to remember that children are a heritage from the Lord. They are precious to us, they are precious to God. And He has given them, entrusted them to us in order that we may be able to provide the best possible chance of their life as they grow old.